Hey guys, I'm Nathan with Duck River Honey, and we're going to talk about buying beekeeping equipment, how you can save money and get good deals. So let's get going. It is just after New Year's 2021. I hope everyone had a very Merry Christmas with their friends and family and loved ones and a good New Year. 2020 was a challenge in a lot of ways, and I can't say that I'm too sorry to turn the page on the calendar this year. So here's to good things in 2021. So I'd like to start with two disclaimers and some background. First disclaimer is I am focused on hobby beekeeping, maybe very small sideliner operation. So if you are a full-scale commercial beekeeper, this video is probably not for you. Second disclaimer, I am a new beekeeper. I am not an expert. In fact, I am figuring things out as I go, trying to create a profitable hobby operation. Some background, I am a farm kid from Middle Tennessee. I grew up on the same farm I'm standing on right now. My great-grandfather bought this place and farmed it with mules back in the 1920s and 30s, and my family has been here ever since. Growing up, we had cattle and horses and donkeys and goats and sheep and hogs and chickens and ducks and just, rabbits at one point. Just anything and everything that you can imagine. So it was a great way to grow up. It exposed me to a lot of different avenues of agriculture. And then as I got bigger, I started showing steers and heifers in 4-H and did that for many years. Went to college for agricultural economics and got a bachelor's and a master's, and then went into the ag finance field for several years before I left that to start my own business. So while I may be a new beekeeper, I've got a good experience level with part-time farming. I've been around part-time farming my whole life, and I've got a good sense of the economics of hobby beekeeping and part-time farming, and that's where I'm going to focus on, is the economic side of it. So I started with 2 packages in the spring, caught 7 swarms, and went into winter with 9 hives. My goals for next year are pretty ambitious. I want to get to profitability, and the way that I see to do that, to be efficient for my operation, is to have one big yard of bees near my house that are pretty easy to take care of, but maximize my honey production with this one yard that is efficient for me to take care of. So I want to grow from 9 hives to somewhere between 25 and 30 by the end of next year, and I want to make a honey crop off of the 9 hives I've already got. Now that's a big ask, because typically you can make bees or you can make honey in a year. So I could split my 9 hives 3 ways through the growing season and get to 27, or I can make a honey crop. But I want to do both. I want to cash flow my cost and investment as much as I possibly can. So the ways I see to do that are either to buy packages or to catch swarms. My experience in 2020 showed that, to me, package bees from out of state are far inferior to feral swarms that are adapted to my specific location. The 7 swarms that I was able to catch this year just kicked butt. They're more tolerant to mites, they're more tolerant of small hive beetles, they were more thrifty through the dearth in the summer. They went into winter with heavy hives where I had to do extensive feeding on some of the packages. So they're just good bees, and that's the avenue that I want to pursue. So I'm planning on putting up 15 to 20 swarm traps in the spring and catching swarms in order to increase my hive count. So this brings me to my first point in buying beekeeping equipment, which is to buy well ahead of time. This past spring, I started with 2 packages. That was my intent. And then I caught 7 swarms, which was kind of unexpected. And because of that, the bees were ahead of me all spring and summer. I didn't have enough equipment to put them in. And with COVID and lockdowns and shipping delays, they stayed ahead of me, and I was scrambling to find things in stock and to find people that had equipment that I could put these bees in. And that's the lesson. When you're in the thick of the beekeeping season and you need to add space to a colony, you need to put that super on right then. You don't need to wait a week. If you wait a week, the bees may start to feel crowded and decide to swarm on you. And once they make that decision to swarm, it's really hard to change their minds. So buy well ahead of time and have your equipment on hand when you need it. So my second point in buying beekeeping equipment is to buy your needs. And this is a little deeper topic than you might think. Because to buy your needs, you need to know your needs. And to know something, you either need experience or education. And the combination of both is better than either one by itself. Get some experience if you can, with different hive types and different body sizes and different frame types, and figure out what works for you in your location with your bees and your management style, because the way that you keep bees will probably be different from the way that I keep bees, because you're a different person than I am. And that's one of the best parts of beekeeping. It is so individual and so local, and there are so many right ways to do it. So get some experience. If you don't have experience, educate yourself. Research your little heart out until you feel confident making your buying decisions. The second part of buying your needs is to set goals and know where you're going. For instance, I want to have a maximum of about 30 hives. I've got 39 medium supers in stock. I'm using all medium supers. So when I know where I want to go, it makes it pretty easy to figure out what I have and figure out what my gaps are. And the third part of this is to make a shopping list. And I cannot stress enough how important it is to keep a spreadsheet or a notebook or something with a list of what you need. Now, I go a little further than that. I actually track prices, several times throughout the year, so I have an idea of what the fluctuations look like and, what's a good price. Well, if it's the lowest price that you've seen in 18 months, it's probably a good price. If it's the highest price that you've seen in 18 months, it's probably not that good of a price. You may not know the difference in a high price and a low price unless you keep track of it and have a shopping list. Guys, if you find this video helpful, I'd really appreciate you hitting the like button. That helps get the video out to other people looking for bee videos, and it helps me out a lot. Also, while you're at it, please hit the subscribe button and the notification bell. That will let you know when I post new videos. My third point in buying beekeeping equipment is to buy efficiency. Efficiency, in my mind, relates to profitability. And there's two sides of that, income and cost structure. So when you're looking at your operation, invest first into income, because income is how you're going to pay your investment back. When you look at a beekeeping operation, there's several ways to make money. You can make money selling honey, you can make money selling propolis and pollen and beeswax, and you can make nucleus colonies and sell bees. All of those come from the hive. They do not come from a beekeeping suit. They do not come from a smoker. They do not come from an extractor or a bottling tank or a honey house. None of that produces income. The hive is what produces income. So if you have limited resources and you want to get profitable, focus first on investing into your income generation. Now, when the time comes to invest into cost reduction or time saving, really think about where your bottlenecks are. And I'll give you a personal story here. I was able to extract about 120 pounds of honey from my hives this year. You want to taste it, buddy?
Yeah, could I just taste it for the flowers?
Look, here.
Yum.
No,
No.
no, no, don't put your face in it. It'll get all over you. I did that with a 2-frame hand crank tangential extractor. So for each 2 frames, I had 2 extraction cycles because you have to turn them in between. And you know, I was able to make that bearable because I took the hand crank handle off and chucked a big corded drill onto it and basically ran it with a motor. But that extractor is not scalable for the amount of hives that I want to have with my time constraints. So I knew that I needed to invest into a honey extractor. And I'm a big believer in buy once, cry once. Buy what you need up front, you know, a piece of equipment that will allow you to grow, that will work for a long time, that has good customer service, good support, great quality, you can find parts, all this stuff. So I was drawn to Dadant and Maxent, both American companies. Maxent especially, family owned, been in business 50 years, good parts, great reviews, very well regarded. So I was specifically looking at the Maxent 6.9 powered extractor, and I started doing some math. If you extract 6 frames radially and run it for about 15 minutes, then I can extract 18 frames in 45 minutes. Then I looked at the 20 frame Maxent extractor, which will extract 20 frames in 15 minutes. So 18 in 45 minutes or 20 in 15 minutes. So I was very open to the idea of getting a 20 frame extractor because I could foresee that being a bottleneck in my operation. This brings me to my 4th point in buying beekeeping equipment, which is to buy used when you can. Now, I say when you can for a reason, and that is there are times that you can't. For instance, in Tennessee, I cannot go to another beekeeper and buy hive bodies that are from a dead out. If I buy used hive bodies, they have to have live bees in them. The reason for that is to prevent the transmission of disease such as American foul brood that is extremely persistent in woodenware. The spores can last up to 40 years. So be careful buying woodenware, hive bodies, things like that from other beekeepers that you don't know. But if you are talking about good extraction equipment, bottling tanks, things like that that are made from stainless steel and metal, and you can see them work before you buy them, and they have good parts availability, I have no qualms at all about buying that type stuff. So I was looking for an extractor, and I found one, a 20 frame Maxent used on Facebook Marketplace in Alabama. The guy had shrunk his operation down. He was going through some personal things and needed to sell the extractor, and I got it at a very good price, about $650 off what a new one would cost. Another piece of equipment that I was looking for to scale my operation was a bottling tank. And again, I was specifically looking for Maxent because of the reputation for quality. And I found one used on Facebook Marketplace in Norcross, Georgia, near Atlanta. It was a bigger bottling tank than I was looking for. It was a 42 gallon. It'll hold 500 pounds of honey, and it had a blender mixer and a no drip valve with it. The price that I got that for was nearly $1,500 off regular price. So one Saturday morning, I left my house at 4 a.m., drove 3.5 hours down to Alabama, picked up the extractor, and then drove several hours over to Georgia and picked up the bottling tank, and then drove several hours back home. It was over a 12-hour round trip, and I saved over $2,000 by making that trip. So buy used when you can, because you can save some serious money, and on good used equipment, the depreciation hit's been taken by the previous owner. So if I need to get out of beekeeping for whatever reason, hurt my back or whatever, I don't think I'll lose much, if any, money on that equipment. My 5th point in buying beekeeping equipment is to buy in bulk. I use all medium equipment for my hive bodies and my supers, and one of the reasons for that is it allows me to step up my order size. I was able to buy 100 medium supers and 1,000 frames, 1,000 foundations, and by doing that I got some substantial savings. At the time that I did my bulk order, On Man Lake's website, 100 medium supers was 27% cheaper than buying just one. Now, it's not like that today. Those bulk discounts change based on lumber prices and seasonality and things. So again, this goes back to the shopping list. You need to know a good deal when you see it and keep track of the pricing so you can buy when the time is right. My sixth point is to bargain hunt. Buy on sale anytime you can. When I did my big order, it was on Black Friday. And the reason for that is Man Lake did 11% off store-wide with free shipping. So I was able to purchase 1,300 pounds of beekeeping supplies, and they shipped it to me on 2 pallets on a freight truck for free. I know that cost them money to ship. So at the time I bought, Man Lake did stack the bulk discount and the Black Friday discount. So I had 27% bulk, 11% Black Friday. I got my supers 38% off. At the time they were $15.35 each, and I paid $10.10 each. That saved me nearly $500 just on supers. So keep an eye out for those deals, know them when you find them, and be ready to buy when you have the opportunity. Oh, that's good. Tea, Earl Grey, hot, with some honey. My seventh point in buying beekeeping equipment is to buy time. Either spend yours or buy someone else's. Now, the cheapest way to get your equipment, or your woodenware at least, is to make it yourself. You go to a sawmill, you buy some rough sawn lumber, you run it through a dado stack on a table saw, rip everything down, and glue it up and make your own equipment. And you'll get a good price doing that. Some people even make their own frames. I've got a lot of time constraints. I've got a 5-year-old boy, a 2-year-old girl, a wife, church obligations. I work full time. I've got a side business, and then beekeeping is my second side business. So it's a lot more efficient for me to buy discounted unassembled equipment and get really good at assembling it myself than it is for me to build it from scratch. If you want to see how I am assembling my supers using this simple jig that I made, I actually made a video on how I'm doing that. So I'll leave a link to that if you want to check it out. So invest your time wisely. If you're getting a good return on your time, then spend it. If you're not getting a good return on your time, it's probably better to buy someone else's. The eighth and final point I'll leave you with is in regards to financing. Now, I was in the financial services industry for many years, so it's a little ironic to say this, but in general, I am against debt. I only believe in taking out debt or a loan for an asset that increases in value, such as a house or real estate, or an asset that produces income. And in my mind, the beekeeping equipment is an income-producing asset. So trying to streamline my operation, get to profitability, I used some leverage to do that. What I did is I found a credit card that was offering 20 months, 0% interest. So I got that card right before Black Friday, put all of my beekeeping equipment on it, and now I have until July of 2022 to get it paid off. The significance of that is it gives me one complete extraction cycle in 2021 that I can take cash from honey sales and put on the card, and then it will get me to my second extraction cycle in 2022. So using a short-term debt like this really smooths my cash flow and gives me a couple of income-generating cycles before it's due. And I think that makes sense in my operation, even though I'm against debt in general. The only other thing I'll mention on financing is a pearl of wisdom that I found in one of Ian Stapler's videos. He was talking about expanding your operation using debt to do it, and he said, build your bees and buy your equipment. And he meant that you need to grow your operation through your own splits and not buying hives or packages and borrowing money to do that. The reason for that is if you borrow money and buy bees and all the bees die, you have no income generating asset to be able to pay the debt. Whereas if you borrow money and buy equipment and all your bees die, at least you have an asset that can be sold. Guys, I really hope that you have found this video helpful. I hope it helps some people out. If you have any questions or comments, please leave them below, and I'll see you next time.